In this module, you will see the most majestic temple that exists in India, the Brihadeshwara temple. It was started to build by Rajaraja Chola I in 11th century AD. The majestic temple cannot be described but needs to be seen by your own eyes. The temple speciality for Karanas is that the inner walls, the inner sanctum walls are depicted with Karanas, and all Karanas are shown being danced by Nataraj, the Shiva. At present, the Archaeological Society of India does not allow all and everyone to go and see these Karanas because they need to be maintained and they need to be conserved. But the whole thing is described in the temple galleries where you can see the Karanas according to their numbers and Shiva dancing these Karanas. It's an absolutely magnificent, majestic temples, and not only just dancing Karanas and Shiva, but there are so many dance sculptures throughout this whole temple complex. So it gives you a chance to go and visit as you study this module.
Today we are going to take you to a temple of South India which is very important in dance. This is the Brihadeshwara temple in Tanjavur. Now many of the grand temples in South India were built by the kings of the Chola dynasty. These temples have lasted for centuries, giving us an insight into the culture, architecture and civilization of that period. Initially, the temple building culture started by the Pallavas gave us a great heritage and grandeur to the southern part of India. The successors of the Pallavas improvised and innovated while building new temples. The Cholas, who were the immediate successors of the Pallavas, continued the tradition of temple building with an eye to perfection. Karikal, the early Chola emperor of the Sangam age, is lost in the legendary grandeur. Several centuries later, Vijayalaya Chola conquered Mutharayars and established a small kingdom around Tanjore in the year 850 AD. This was developed into a gigantic empire by his successors. All the Chola kings and their ministers contributed towards building Shiva or Vishnu temples in South India. Rajaraja I, also known as Arulmozhi Varman, ascended the throne in 985 AD. He was a great warrior who extended the empire with his strong military forces. He was a great patron of the arts and literature as well, and had religious tolerance. It was his genius and passion for building huge temples that urged him to build the magnificent Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjore. His son Rajendra Chola I, who ruled between 1012 to 1044 AD, also built a massive temple similar to the Tanjore temple in Gangaikonda Cholapuram, his capital. He named this the Brihadeshwara temple. As a mark of victory over the king of Varanasi, he built a tank in his capital and filled it with the waters of the Ganges. Hence, he was called Gangaikonda Cholan. The great dynasty extended up to the rule of Kulotunga III. He was a great builder and added several temples to the glory of the Cholas. He built temples at Tirubhuvanam, Kanchipuram, Madurai, Chidambaram, Tiruvarur, Darasuram. All of them stand till date, revealing the glorious Chola art and architecture. According to a legend, the name Tanjai was derived from an asura named Tanjan, who was killed by Lord Vishnu at this place. The Devi temple of Nisumbasudani, built by the Muthurayars, was also the Kula Devam, the family deity of the Cholas. Tanjore is situated in the Kaveri Delta. The tributaries of the Kaveri flow through the city, making it very fertile agricultural land. Temples in South India are not only a place of worship, but have much more to offer. Centuries ago, temples were the centers for social gatherings and entertainment, and were also exhibition halls for paintings and sculptures. They were also the storehouse of historic records in the form of inscriptions and copper plates. These records reveal the achievements of the kings as well as the trade and civilization of people. The Pallavas were the pioneers to build temples in stone. The imperial Cholas adapted the art of building temples from their predecessors and attained perfection par excellence. They built temples in granite stones that could not be destroyed easily by natural calamities. The Cholas had a very big dream of constructing temples in stone, which included art, architecture, religion, music, dance, painting, sculpture, inscriptions, copper plates, bronze icons, and above all, the spiritual essence. The Cholas ruled the entire South Indian delta from the 9th to the 12th century AD, with Tanjore as their capital. They were great conquerors, and their kingdom extended from northeastern India to the southernmost part, like Sri Lanka, Burma, Malayan Peninsula, Bali, and a few islands of Southeast Asia. They built huge water tanks for irrigation and stone temples in the countries that they conquered. The Brihadiswara temple, built during the reign of Raja Udayar, is dedicated to Lord Shiva. It was originally called the Peruvudayar Koil, Periya Koil, and Rajarajeshwar Koil. During the Maratha period, it came to be called Brihadishwara, the temple of the great Ishwara. The Brihadishwara temple was the dream project of King Rajaraja Chola, and he planned for more than 2 years along with experts, advisors, scholars from various fields before starting the temple work. He appointed a well-versed and experienced architect named Raja Peruntacham to lead the temple project. The king consulted and sought the advice of Ishana Shiva Panditar, the royal priest, and Karuvur Deva, a Siddha Purush and guru to the king, regarding the construction and later about religious procedures to be implemented in the temple. The king aspired to and was determined to build this temple in granite. There were no mountains or granite available in a 100-kilometer radius from Tanjore. He procured the stone slabs from the nearby villages and transported them by carts pulled by elephants and horses. He made special mud roads for the carts to transport the goods to the temple. Thousands of years ago, it was a stupendous effort. King Raja brought cartloads of wealth and gold from the battles he won and spent them in building the temple. The war prisoners were utilized according to their skills in constructing the temple. The Brihadishwara temple reveals the Dravidian style of architecture. It stands majestically in a sprawling place with an outer wall. The plinth of the central shrine measures 45.72 square meters. The Vimana is 60.96 meters high. The dome or the shikhara is octagonal and rests on a single block of granite which weighs 81.284 kilograms. The tower is 16 times the height of the main linga, and this is a significant feature in this temple. 1000 years ago, there were no modern amenities such as cranes to carry heavy stone slabs to the desired height. The group of stones on top of the gopuram were raised to the current height by dragging them on an inclined plane which had its base 6.44 kilometers away. The vast courtyard of the temple is about 11,612.88 square meters in area and is surrounded by a cloister. In the year 1010, the Vimana was covered with gold. At the entrance, there are two gopurams, widely separated from each other. The second gopuram is decorated with carvings. There are two Dwarapalas. The carvings illustrate Shaivite stories. Beyond the gopuram is a huge Nandi facing the central shrine in the courtyard. The linga installed in the sanctum sanctorum is 3.66 meters high and is called Dakshina Meru Vitankan. It is also called Raja Rajeshwaram after the name of the king Rajaraja. In many parts of the structure, over time the white granite used has decolorized into a pale red color. Near the main shrine, the stones are in black granite. The passages around the sanctum sanctorum contain beautiful paintings and sculptural art. Beautiful and colorful frescoes adorn the ceilings. Figures of Shiv Tandava in different poses are portrayed in the first floor around the sanctum in the inner ambulatory. The sculptures are carved in blocks of stone in situ. These panels are in the same level throughout. Three sides of the inner prakara have sculptures of Shiva, one holding the spear, one holding the sword, the third with 10 arms dancing in the Chatura pose as Vishnu plays the drums and Devi sits in Padmasana with a lotus and rosary. On the western side, the entire wall has a huge panel of Dakshinamurti seated in a yogic pose, watching the dance of two apsaras, while Vishnu and the other Ganas are part of the musical band. A few princely figures, saints and warriors are also present. There is a scene depicted with a woman cheerfully cooking for the wedding. There is a large figure of Nataraj dancing, watched by devotees, princes et al. There is a painting of Raja Raja with his guru Karuvur Devar. The entire northern wall is covered by a gigantic figure of Tripurantaka Shiva. He is seen on a chariot driven by Brahma. Tripurantaka in the Alida pose with 8 arms carrying weapons to demolish the demons is accompanied by Kartikeya on a peacock, Ganesha on a mouse, Kali on a lion and Nandi in front. All these paintings and sculptures reveal great craftsmanship with power, grandeur and rhythm. The highest achievement of the Chola art in stones is revealed in presenting the dance karanas in the inner walls of the temple. Here, Lord Nataraja is depicted as dancing the karanas. The huge monolithic Nandi is 16 feet long and 13 feet high. It is situated in the center of the front square. Life-size idols of the Ashtadikpalikas were originally installed in the temples that have now been removed to a separate temple. There is a portrait of King Rajaraja praying to Lord Nataraj, which is one of its kind and depicts the monarch inside the temple. King Rajaraja made enormous endowments for the Brihadishwara temple. The royal family members, noblemen, high officials, merchants, artisans, dancers, musicians, and the common man presented gold and silver jewelry and money to the temple. These donations are described in the inscriptions. Most of the original jewelry is now lost. The remaining jewelry, some bronze statues of Nataraj, Tripurantaka, Devi, and Ganesh reveal the great artistry of the Chola period. There are descriptive information regarding the jewelry worn by the dancers and the royal princes. Different varieties of pearls, diamonds, and rubies are mentioned in the inscriptions. Dancers, musicians, cooks, gardeners, flower gatherers, garland makers, wood carvers, sculptors, painters, choir group for singing Sanskrit and Tamil hymns, dance teachers, accountants, watchmen, other officials, and servants to clean up the temple premises were all appointed in the service of the temple. They were paid well in the form of money, paddy, lands, and houses, and so on according to gradation. All the information regarding the appointment and maintenance is given in the inscriptions available at the temple. All around the passages and the plinth of the temple, long series of epigraphs in elegant letters are engraved in stone. The detailed inscription gives a vivid picture of the Chola civilization and the contribution of the king and the people to the temple. King Rajaraja employed 400 dancers and their accompanying artists from all over Tamil Nadu. They were allotted houses near the temple. They were transferred from other temples to serve at the Brihadishwara temple. The inscription gives details of their previous temple, where they belonged, their names, the houses allotted to them, and even the salary that was sanctioned to them. Some of the dancers and artists I would like to mention now, to name a few. From Kadambur Thiruvillan Koil, 8 dancers were transferred. They were given houses in and around the temple. Dancers Vidhi Vidangai, Nakkam, and Kuppai were allotted houses on the southern street in the southern wing. Dancers Semani and Konadi were allotted houses in the southern street at the northern wing. For example, from Tiruvarur 50 dancers, from Airatali 19, Kottur 12, Kadambur 14, Niyamam 20 dancers. This is how from different temples and different places they all got transferred there. This place was called Talicheri, and the dancers from here were called Talicheri Pendugal. They exchanged their talent with each other, and thereby new dimensions to the arts evolved and paved way for the development of a greater explosion, efflorescence of the fine arts, which took it to far greater heights than ever before. When the temple was under construction, the dancers were designated to be models for the sculptors and painters. Every day, as part of the Shodasa Upachara, or the temple rituals, the musicians sang hymns and songs on Lord Shiva, and the dancers danced in front of the deity. Amongst the other dances performed, Suddha Nrityam, Pushpanjali, and the Deepa Arati were very special. The Suddha Nrityam was presented in front of the main shrine, and the dancers who performed this were called the Rudra Ganikas. The Nitya Puja, or daily rituals, Utsavs, were never complete without dance and music. The offerings through dance to the Devta of the 8 directions and the sky, Akash, were called Navsandhi Nrityam. Instrumental and vocal music were part of the daily rituals. The singing of hymns, especially the Tevaram hymns, became part of the temple rituals in all Shiva temples. 48 singers were appointed to sing the Tevaram hymns in this temple, and they were to be accompanied by Uddukai and Madalam players. They were called the Tirupadiyam Paduvar. The dancers who were in the temple service were prefixed with the name Nakkan. For example, Nakkan Chaturi. There were 6 male Natuvans, who we know today as Natuvunars, who were conferred the distinguished royal title as Nritta Mariyan and Nritta Perarayyan. Arayan Sundara Cholan was the chief Natyacharya amongst the dancers. He was given the title of Mumudi Chola Nritya Mariyan. Kumara Vadavail was given the title of Mumudi Chola Nritya Perarayan. Arayan Abhimanatungan with the title Arulmodi Nritya Perarayan and Arayan Mananjan with the title Vahayili Nritya Perarayan. The Natyachars were compensated more than the dancing girls. They were held in high esteem. The dancers performing in the temple were expected to be highly qualified in their field of art, failing which they were replaced by qualified dancers from within their family. Thus, a form of hereditary right to serve the temple was given to them. 2 chiefs named Savur Paranajoti and Somanathan were appointed to take charge of the artists' welfare. The dancers, in gratitude towards the king, staged a dance drama during the inauguration of the temple. Talaikoli Rajaraji, along with her other co-dancers, choreographed a dance drama named Rajarajeshwara Natakam, highlighting the achievements and the rule of Raja Raja Chola. This was performed on important occasions in the temple for many centuries. The dancers had specialized skills in different aspects and forms of dance. They were allowed to only perform their specialized field of dance, like Abhinaya, the Agama Margam, Tamil Kotu, Arya Kotu or Santi Kotu. All of them were allotted specific occasions to perform these dances in the temple. These dancers had great esteem in society. The temple was a storehouse of fine arts. The stone sculptures, beautiful paintings, inscriptions in Tamil and Chola Granthas reveal the artistry of the Chola period. Dance and music were part of the temple rituals. In the evenings and on festival days, people congregated at the temple courtyard in large numbers to witness and enjoy the entertainment presented by the temple dancers and the musicians. There were Brahmanas to chant the Vedas, Oduvars to sing the Tevaram hymns. Male dancers who were attached to the temple were called Kotu Attu Pattu, Nritya, Geeta and Vadya performers, as they were able to sing, play instruments and dance all at the same time. The Brihadishwara temple is the earliest one to portray dance karanas from the Natyashastra in a sculptural format. This style was followed later while building the Sarangapani temple and the Chidambaram temple. It is interesting to note that Bharata's karanas were already familiar to dancers in South India. The dancers were able to pose for the karanas for the sculptors with considerable ease. The karanas are called Chokkam in Tamil literature. There are no names or the shlokas pertaining to the karanas inscribed in these panels, unlike the case of the karana panels of the Sarangapani and Chidambaram temples. Abhinav Gupta in the 10th century wrote the commentary on Natyashastra. He was a contemporary of the king Raja Raja. The Tanja temple was probably completed before Abhinav Gupta's work entered the South Indian dance scenario. 100 years later, the impact of this book could be seen in the Sarangapani and Chidambaram Karana panels. The Karanas in the Tanja temple are portrayed on the wall of the sanctum in the inner ambulatory. The panels portray Shiva dancing the Karanas. The panels are in sequential order. There are 108 panels, out of which 81 are carved with dance Karanas and the other panels are left blank. Apart from the Karanas, there are figures of dancing girls portraying a story. At the back wall of the sanctum, there is a scene depicting the story of the saint Sundaramurthy Nayanar ascending to heaven and being welcomed by the celestial dancers. There is also a scene of Kailasha where Shiva is witnessing a dance with Parvati, and a dancer is pictured in a superlative manner performing the Prastha Swastika Karna. The annual festival of this temple is held in the month of Chaitra, April or May, for 18 days. Till today, the festivals are conducted in the same manner as they were conducted 1,000 years ago. There is also a Kalyana, the marriage of Shiva to Parvati, which is celebrated. There are many legends attached to this temple. The legends about the construction of this temple are available in the texts Brihadishwara Mahatmayam and Tanjaipuri Mahatmayam. The Karuvur Devar, who was the Siddha Guru of King Rajaraja, wrote a book named Karuvur Puranam, in which he gives a detailed account about the construction of the temple and the installation of the main linga. Karuvur Devar was the first to sing hymns on the main deity of this temple, and these hymns are called Thiruisaipa. The temple is the most ambitious of the architectural enterprises of the Cholas and is a magnificent achievement of Raja Raja. The wall space and the ceiling had exquisite paintings and were recoated by different paintings during the Nayak period in the 17th century AD. The big hall in front of the Subramanya shrine was extended during the late Nayak period. The steps to the mandapams were altered during the Maratha period. The hall was used to exhibit the festival deity. The portraits beginning from Shivaji the Great to Shivaji II, which are present even now, were painted around 1850 AD. The highest achievement of the Chola art in stones is revealed in presenting the dance Karanas in the inner wall of the temple. Here, Lord Nataraj is depicted as dancing the Karanas. The huge Nandi, which is in the inner Gopura, is in the center of the front square. Scholars opine that the present Nandi could be of 16th century AD vintage. The original Nandi was outside the inner Gopuras in front of the second Gopuram. Modi records of the Maratha period read that King Sarfoji II consecrated 108 Shivalings in the Prakara of the temple. The temples of Devi, Nandi, Mantapa and the shrine of Ganesh are the later additions built by the imperial Pandyas and Nayaks during their reigns. The bronze Nataraj icon was broken and was resurrected by Kamakshi Bibi Bai at the end of the 19th century. These exquisite carvings on these structures depict the South Indian architecture of the late medieval period. The Brihadeshwara temple is one of the tallest temples in the world. Also, this is the first temple built entirely with granite. The Viman of this temple is uniquely designed. It took 7 years for Raja Raja to complete the temple work. At the entrance of the Sanctum Sanctorum in the corridor, there are 2 Ganesh statues made of stone. On tapping on this, one can hear the sound travelling through stone in one idol and through metal in the other. This temple is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The main deity of this temple was visualized as Paramananda Tandava Murthy, performing the blissful dance in the cosmos. The temple reveals the essence with its extraordinary sculptural and architectural depiction. Well, this was a wonderful trip to Brihadishwara in the only manner that is possible between us as we study the temples of South India and also study how they were very important centers for dance and have continued to impact dance in our times. I hope you get a chance to visit some of these temples. Do grab every opportunity you can to visit them. Until then, let me tell you that I thank you for the attention that you have shown today.